So many of you have asked me, like, how do I do so much work so fast? You've seen me remove engines out of my car in about 2.5 to 3 hours. I know what tools are needed exactly and where they go and the best way to get to it. But the biggest part of that is having the right tools for the job. So today we're going to be going over what's inside my toolbox that gets these jobs done in a timely manner so I can move on and make videos like this for you guys. Because honestly, if I didn't move as fast as I did with building these cars and modifying these cars, pulling the engine out, building the engine, get the timing belt set, all that stuff, I would not be able to make these videos in the way that I do. So with that said, let's take a look inside the toolboxes to see what I'm using, and hopefully this will help you guys out so in the future when you go to work on your car, or if you have a goal or something in mind that you want to do with yours, you can go straight to this video and you can say, oh, Billy used that tool for this same thing. Maybe I should get that. I'm gonna also do my best to, well, I actually opened up an Amazon storefront. I don't even know what it's called, to be honest, but I'm gonna put a link down below that has a lot of the tools that I use that I'm showing here today in this video. If you guys would like to go check them out and order your own set, you can do so. But the link will be down in the description below. Feel free to go ahead and check that out. Okay, for starters, yes, they are Snap-on. You can put in the whole thing of, oh, you must have paid a fortune for those toolboxes. Look, at the end of the day, remember the toolboxes don't make you money, they just look pretty. So my whole reasoning for getting them was, well, I had a lot of tools and I had purchased this one once and this one was slap full and I could not fit anything else in this roll cart. So I needed something that was bigger, and it just so happened we had a lot of room in the shop because one of our master techs, he wasn't even master tech, he moved out and there was a lot of space. So I kind of filled that void with this guy over here for just a few months before I eventually left that shop and moved on to other things. This is my 73-inch Snap-on Epic with the hutch. Shout out to Dave Mortensen, Snap-on Tools of North Tampa. He was able to get me the hookup on this one, as well as most of the tools that you will see here. Now, would I recommend anybody getting Snap-on tools? Are they good quality? Yes, absolutely. However, get the cheaper ones, and as they break, replace them with nicer ones, because that is actually exactly what I did, and it worked out very well that way, because I still have some of my cheaper ones that are still good to this day, and a lot of the Snap-on ones I only bought when they were on a heavy, serious sale. Same thing goes with the Snap-on toolbox and this roll cart right here. I bought this roll cart from helping one Snap-on guy move warehouses, and he cut me a deal. And I got this one when, well, they were really desperate to make some sales happen. And my Snap-on rep knew that I would not buy a big Snap-on toolbox unless it was an insanely good deal, which is exactly what I got out of that. And just to throw this in here, in case you guys forgot, I do in fact have a website with merchandise. If you like the videos and you want to support the builds and support the channel, we're really trying to push this channel this year, trying to grow, get to that 10,000 subscriber mark. Go check out the website. This is probably one of my favorite shirts on there. This is my No Worries design. It has the 300ZX right here, and then it has the Billy Built logo on the front. This one is on there as well. I got a few other designs. If you guys want to go check out the website, Billy Builds with a D. Check it out, head on over. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's get back into today's video. So first order of business, I will start with the most commonly used stuff that I have in my toolbox, or tool cart rather, which is going to be this one right here. And well, obviously these are slide drawers on the top, and there's nothing crazy, just a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. And then we have our sockets. So I've got my 1/2 inch over here, deep and shallow. I've got my swivels, adapters, so on and so forth. And then we've also got the 3/8. I use the chrome sockets for fitting into very tight places, because if you look really closely, these impact sockets, a lot of people don't realize this until you actually start working on cars professionally. Okay, so both of these are 12mm sockets, and if you look very closely, that chrome socket is much thinner than this one here. And yeah, of course, that's gonna break more, but once you break it free, if you can break it free, use this one, because you do save a lot more space with this one. Also, the size of the sockets is typically shorter if it's a thinner sidewall. Little things like that make a big difference when doing very, very tight jobs. And then also, obviously, we've got the best tool ever invented, being the electric ratchet. So I got 3/8 and 1/4 inch. Actually, this is my 1/4 inch. And then obviously, like I said, I got all my 1/4 inch stuff over here, all my extensions. I love these ratchets here. Get one of these, not one of these. I hate this thing. I bought this one first and I've regretted it ever since. For instance, this little ratchet here, this was about $125 to $130 ratchet. This tool tray was a little bit more expensive than any of the others because these tool trays here are actually from Harbor Freight. Some of these big deep sockets are from Harbor Freight. All of the shallow sockets are actually from Snap-on. This little toolkit over here is actually really convenient. The biggest thing with swivel sockets, however, is that you want them to stay straight. So make sure you spend the money on a good swivel set because over time they will get loose and they will want to fall over and do kind of their own thing. So I like ones that, well, you can move them around and they don't just flop all over the place because that's extremely annoying to have a swivel socket that just wants to do its own thing. Next up, we got the plier drawer and screwdrivers. I honestly hate using screwdrivers, so I don't have too many of them, but most of these pliers, except for this one here, well, let me just do it this way. All these are Mac. This I've had since I was like 5, but Snap-on screwdrivers, if you ever talk to a Snap-on rep about screwdrivers, they'll tell you all about them. You got a little 10mm for a wrench to slide on here, and then obviously you gotta have your plastic pry tools. I recommend getting some, I mean, you can get some cheap ones, but these were actually very nice and I've never broken them. Also, typical pry tools, valve tools for like tires and AC systems. And then you gotta have one of these for the cooling hoses that are just stuck on everything and will not come off. Also, for very specific plier stuff, I got my Klein tools. These things are great. Shout out to Jamie's Garage, who actually posted a video. I've known Jamie for probably 15 years now. But anyways, he posted a video about these pliers right here, hanging from a piece of steel in his shop.
Like that? Oh my God.
Next up, we got the wrench drawer. Most of my wrenches are actually over there on the ground, but these wrenches here were actually my first set of tools off of a tool truck. I had a buddy who had a set of Easy Reds back in the day. These are actually mountain wrenches. These things are freaking awesome. They are the bee's knees. They will break just about any bolt free and will do it without slipping. I highly recommend these for anyone getting into automotive, or even like if you just have a project car on the weekend, get the ones with the little lip on the end like that. These have saved me so much time and so much headache. I love them. Also, for AN stuff, this is actually my only AN tool that I use. I should probably have more than this, but for now, this is what I got. We have our standard wrenches, gear wrench, ratcheting wrenches, and then these are my newest guys right here, and I actually really love them. This is a Tone ratcheting open-end wrench. If you see here, there's a little lip right there, and that thing pushes in and out as you go around the bolt, and it grabs it and will, well, kind of ratchet around it. They are a Japanese wrench company, but they are very cool and very handy to have. That's where that went. I've been looking for this guy. Next up, we have pry bars and hammers. I have a dead blow hammer from Harbor Freight. We got 42 ounce snappy. And then we got another Harbor Freight cheapo whatever. And obviously, all my pry bars. We got a Long Boy flathead screwdriver. I use this thing for a multitude of things. And then we got our carbide scrapers. These things are awesome. I've recommended these in other videos and I will continue to recommend them. For removing gaskets, these things are awesome. It doesn't dig into the head. It's a square tip, but you use it on a point and it works freaking awesome for any kind of RTV, metal surface, aluminum surface. These things are great. I highly recommend getting the Lyle version because sometimes if you get the cheaper ones, these square tips will just fall right off. And then also, if you've ever worked on Hondas, you're probably familiar with these guys, and I have a Snap-on version because these like to break. Mainly this one right here, because what you do is you attach this to that. It's a 3/8 inch bit, and you take the hammer and smack it, and it turns the seized Phillips head bolt that is in the brake rotors and breaks them free. So for any Phillips heads or even flatheads that are seized, this is kind of like an impact drill, you could say. Very handy thing to have, and the great thing about being Snap-on is that they replace these all the time under warranty. And then the typical brake tool, that was just something quick. Obviously, air hammer. I used to have this thing handy, which is why I keep it in here and not in there. because when I'm doing axles or anything of that nature, it's very easy to just snatch that real quick and hook up to an air hose and go to town. Next up, I've got, well, kind of my fancy bits over here. We got some Vim tools, and I also have a Blue Point set. These are actually hex sockets, Torx bits that are rounded on the top. I don't know if you can really see that, but they are rounded on the top so that you can kind of put them on whatever bolt it is at an angle and use those. And I got these because they're very low profile. But then also all these are tamper-proof Torx bits from Blue Point, Torx bits, E-Torx. If you're curious what an E-Torx looks like, that's it. Yeah, pretty much these are really handy. This whole set I've used multiple times. You guys have probably seen me use these multiple times. I like to use these on the coolant necks that come out of the front of the motor, kind of where the thermostat is and the water pump. These things are super handy because, again, you can get in at an angle. You don't have to go straight on. However, if you use these, be prepared because sometimes these like to break up here. And if they're really tight, I break out one of these because they are straight and it's a long one. I got these before ever purchasing or knowing these existed, but it's still really nice to have these. These are actually snap-on and I've never broken one, but I'm waiting for the day that I do. And then you gotta have your pick set. My picks are just kind of scattered all over the place. I'm not even going to open that because that is the booklet of receipts from Snap-on that we don't even want to get in. And obviously, for any kind of diagnosis, you got to have one of these. Stethoscope. Wheel bearings, pulleys that are making noises. This will 100% find that. Next up, it's kind of like a junk electronic drawer. I used to have all my electronic diagnostics in here. However, it's kind of shifted over to that. I've got butane torch for soldering wires. I got power probe, which is kind of broken, but it still works. And then, of course, we've got our, let's see how hot it is in here. Cool, 80 degrees right now. My infrared thermometer. You can even go as far as telling which cylinder is not firing with this thing. Especially my Honda, when I had a misfire in that, I could point it at the header pipe and tell each header how hot it was and which one was misfiring. And then obviously we got yet another junk drawer. I got AC bracket for the Z. I got a random Craftsman battery charger, which I've been looking for. Brake fluid vacuum pump. I use that all the time actually. And then we've got the fender roller here. I got a random, oh, this actually doesn't belong in there. Buffing wheel, buffing tool, another vacuum pump thing. That pretty much does it for my roll cart. Now, let's move on to the big boy. As you can see, the top part is currently a parts storage bin because I'm out of space at this point. But with that said, we have the 72, 73 inch Snap-on Epic Series box. If you're into that kind of stuff, Snap-on has a Master Series and an Epic Series. The Epic being the newer model. They actually now have LED lights underneath this top bin, which is something that they didn't offer when I bought this. But as you can see, I installed my own LED lights, which works kind of okay. It's a work in progress. Obviously, we got all the Milwaukee stuff. We got the chargers, M12s, M18s. You gotta have Milwaukee tools. When you're starting out buying tools, pick a brand for your electric tools and stick with it. Now, there's something about this that is always so appeasing to hear, and that is that noise right there. Moving on from that, we have more sockets. This is where I keep my breaker bar. This is a 1/2 inch boy. It'll do foot-pounds, Newton meters. It'll do angles, all that fun stuff. I think I have on my Amazon store a gear wrench one that you can get yourselves if you are interested in an electric torque wrench. We also have a 3/8 inch, and then I also have a little 1/4 inch. But I've spent a lot of money on tools over the years, but when you're working in the field, it's an investment to make more money, and the only way to do jobs quicker is to spend more money. It really gets you in that mindset. These over here I bought years ago. And honestly, if you're a technician looking to get into swivel sockets, these are not worth it. I got a 3/8 inch set and a 1/4 inch set, and I probably only used these a handful of times. These are from Matco. Not really worth it. These guys here, I've used a handful of times. These are stud extractors, and the idea is, if you can see those little teeth in there, as you spin this, those teeth grab hold of a stud and will screw it right out of there. As you can see from the back, there's kind of a hole. They come in different sizes to fit whatever stud you're trying to remove. These things are awesome. Instead of doing the double nut method, you just put this on a socket or a wrench, whichever you want, and then you just unscrew it. It tightens down on the stud and it removes it without destroying the threads. Top drawer is done. We got a lot of tools to go through here, you guys. I hope you're ready for this. This is kind of my, well, it started out as a wrench drawer, and then it turned into an AN/fitting drawer, because now we have AN-6-8-10. I got my loppers for cutting the AN hose. We've got a serpentine tool belt set. We've got the C-clamp set from Macro right here. Yep, that's what that is. Because it is technically a wrench set. And then we got another gear wrench set with Allen keys, Phillips heads, all that stuff. Vacuum nipples, more push clips, vacuum hoses, so on and so forth. But these things are really nice. This is what I use on my entire vacuum setup on the Z. It's just a nylon hoses that pushes in and it holds it tight. Moving on from there. This is a very common drawer that I like to use. So this one here is kind of my heavy-duty cutting, grinding, machining drawer is what I like to see it as. I've got my drills, but then we got my tap set. This is the gear wrench master tap set. It has all the taps and dies and fittings and all that fun stuff that you'll need. And then you have these guys. This is from Lyle, and it is meant to hold these little square bits here. I used these when I was reaming out the valve guides on the head because they was very tight, and I needed something to go onto my drill to kind of grip the bit really well. And these fit perfectly for these square bits, and that's why I bought those. Then we have NPT taps all the way from 3/4 down to 1/8 inch. We've got grinding bits. These are what I use for grinding my heads. Obviously drill bits, step drill bits, gotta have a set of these. These are super handy to have. This one's carbide from Napa of all things. These are some sanding cones. These are also meant for porting heads and valve bodies or whatever you feel like. Obviously, we gotta have our mini saw, cutoff wheel, grinder. I actually use these, random cookie, a whole lot. These are the thread chasers. So these will clean out the threads on the VG30 heads, which are very common. Any heads, really. If you pull apart a head and don't run one of these through the cam cap bolt holes, you're going to have a really hard time putting them back in, because on the Hondas, the bolts are known for snapping, and on the VG30s, they are known for being very tough to remove because, well, the oil gets coated in there and then it seizes the bolt and it becomes very tight. It's not something you want to really play around with. So highly suggest getting a set of these if you're going to be pulling apart heads and reassembling them. And then we got a screw extractor set. That's nothing fun. And a whole case of cutoff wheels that I got with the purchase of this sweet Macro cutoff wheel, which is actually, oh, that's not good. It's reversible. So you flip it one way, it goes one way, you flip it the other, it goes the other. Next up, this is where we get to the smaller drawers. This is kind of, I consider this my precision drawer. We've got, ooh, I forgot about this. I got all my welding cups and stuff in here. Obviously, the micrometer. This is very handy. It's broken, but it is Fowler. It's a good piece to have. Got my head tools, oil filter, opener, and then we got these, which I was using for my valve guides for measuring. Basically, in here, you just find a lot of measuring tools, and this is kind of the gist of everything. This is my level that I use for when I do my alignments to see how much camber I have. Now, let's see. Should we go straight down or bounce back and forth? Well, I'll bounce back and forth because in here, don't really have much. Just a lot of extra stickers, some documentation, old cables for... Actually, that's for a car that I don't even want to think about right now. In here, this was supposed to be a random drawer with like vacuum nipples, hose clamps, O-rings, screws, bolts, random knickknacks here and there that I could just pull open and grab what I need and go. Then we got over here, this is kind of my electronics drawer. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. I only ever use insulated heat shrink and bare metal butt connectors whenever I'm doing a wiring repair, especially on automotive. The only thing I use solder on is really home electronics or like I do a lot of FPV drones, or used to anyways, so I use soldering for that. But anyways, we also got the heat gun for the heat shrink, and then this is Tech Flex wrap. We got miscellaneous wiring for miscellaneous wiring repairs or add-ons, for instance, oxygen sensors, flex fuel sensors. These are actually some of my favorite electronic tools. So this is the cutter that I use with the crimps for the non-insulated butt connectors. And then for the terminals, which go into the computers and stuff, I use this guy. This is a Blue Point version. You can get other ones that are like this online. The teeth are interchangeable. They slide right out. I can't do it with one hand, but you get the idea. And then for wire strippers, if you have the room, I like to use these. These are extremely nice. Obviously, snap-on multimeter. And then we've got this little guy for the Deutsch connectors, which I've used on like my transmission harness in the Z. It's always good to have random assortments of connectors when you're doing multiple project cars, because you never know when you run into an issue where you're just like, huh, I wish there was a connector there, and boom, you got it. Next up, this is kind of my heavy duty drawer. Obviously, we got AC leak detection kit, which I think has another flashlight in there. I got my fuel pump pressure testing kit. I got compression ring, or no, this is my compression test kit from OTC. What's this one? Some of these I don't even know. This is my leak down kit, I believe. Yeah, this is for leak down testing. And then, oh, that's not good. This is for removing fans from like my truck. And then obviously we got harmonic balancer remover sets because we need multiple of them because we mess up sometimes when doing so, and it strips out this guy. Yeah. And then we have, what's this? Valve seal kits. This thing actually saved my butt. This made it very easy to install the valve stem seals. It's just a screw attachment that goes into this, and then you just push it right on. The seal slides right over top of this and goes right into the valve. Very simple. Highly recommend this kit. And also, last but certainly not least, this is another diagnostic test kit, which I like to use for diagnosing fuel injectors. So these are Noid lights. If you're not familiar with them, they go into the electrical harness where the injector plugs in to the electrical harness. And basically, as the injector is told to fire, instead of firing because it's not plugged in, it lights up. Oh yeah, I forgot. One more thing. You're probably wondering what these guys. Body shop guys know what these are. This is for, well, dings and dents and reshaping body panels and all that fun stuff. I can't remember the exact term for that, but I got a set of them. Also have the hammers to do it. And last but certainly not least, my heavy drawer. I mean, I got more tools around, but I'm not going to go through everything. We keep in here, if I can open it, I've got my paint setup. This is my DeVilbiss entry-level spray gun kit. This is what I've used to paint the 300ZX, the wing and side mirror scroll caps on the BRZ. But if you're curious as to what you should get for starting out painting on cars as a hobby, this has worked really good for me over the years. Yeah, I have no complaints. The only thing I'd recommend is make sure the little hole on the top of this lid here doesn't clog up, because that got me my first time. You guys won't believe this, but I actually bought this when I had my last motor rebuilt at a machine shop. I gave this to the machine shop along with my motor, and they used this to basically bore and hone the cylinder walls of a VG30. So this is what's called a torque plate, and yeah, I bought it probably 6 years ago now. Let's see what this is. I don't even know what this is anymore, honestly. Okay. So this I was using on the Honda to make sure it was within specification for being round. Next up, we've got the piston ring installer. Yes, that is exactly what that is. Gotta have one of those. Basic engine building stuff. Obviously, timing light, you gotta have a timing light. This is for a clutch install kit. Yes, this is for pressing brake calipers. And then we have over here a Milwaukee fan, which is super handy. A single action orbital polisher, a DA orbital, which is good for sanding or polishing. This is a Porter cable. This is a random Chinese one from Amazon. And then we have another DA. This one's actually courtesy of my neighbor. This is a snap-on one. These are very, very nice. It is air-powered. It's smooth. It's comfy. It's easy to use. Obviously, we got welding gloves for welding, the coolant fill cap. I got a Sure Shot can. This I really haven't used in a long time because I don't have brake clean like that anymore. But should I need it, there it is. And yeah, guys, that pretty much does it for just what's inside of my toolboxes. I also have a flux core welder up here. I just bought this TIG welder here with argon, and I've got a Arc Captain MIG welder back there, which I haven't even touched yet. I've got the tools to do a lot of different things, but my biggest advice for anyone looking to buy tools is, at the end of the day, keep in mind how much time you're going to save by purchasing a certain tool, and ask yourself, is the money I'm going to spend on this tool worth it to me? Is it worth the time I'm going to save? Tools are supposed to make your life easier. You need to work smarter, not harder. And of course, I forgot some of the tools I have over here on the ground. I've got a stubby 1/2-inch ratchet from Milwaukee. This thing is freaking fantastic. If you don't have one of these and you're into snap-on, if you're into electric tools at all, with Milwaukee especially, these 1/2-inch stubbies are phenomenal. This thing will take off the wheels on my cars. Also, we got the 3/8-inch impact, something you must have. And then the typical 1/2-inch ratchet, vice grips, and a whole bunch of other wrenches and such. But then we got the big boy. This is my 1/2-inch impact. This thing will take off and remove anything your life ever so desires to do so with. We are going to put this guy right back into here because obviously it's not doing any good there on the floor, and I don't think I'll need it anytime soon. But that should do it, y'all, for my tool collection that I use on just about everything. I hope you guys got something of value out of this. It was meant to be something quick, just to quickly go over my tool boxes and what I have in my inventory. If you guys have anything crazy in your inventory, like you've had to modify tools or anything to do a certain job, drop it down in the comments for me and let me know what y'all think. Or if you have any advice for me on something that you have that you love and I don't have here, let me know. Drop it down in a comment for me. I'd greatly appreciate every single one of you that watch this. Take care. We'll see y'all next time.